topics left from part B. Yeah. So I explained the project last time. Yeah. So let's continue. Yeah, but this project, I may go back a little bit because I skipped something, right? I skipped the coding part. All right. Yeah. Before that, let me show this demo. Yeah. I post the code, our example, drag and drop code. Yeah. Some of you probably play around a little bit. Here, the feature very simple. So each word you can do drag and drop. Yeah. Only this feature. Yeah. And in this simple example, if we do not write any supporting code for this drag and drop, then by default, in HTML document, there is no, you cannot drag and drop any components directly. Yeah. Yeah. In order to make your GUI components draggable, you need to write supporting code. Yeah. Here we use JavaScript functions. Yeah. So I like to give you two ways to do this, draggable feature. Yeah. One, in this example, we use the simple JavaScript. Yeah. Another, we use jQuery. Yeah. The jQuery much simpler. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So after you see the demo, so then later when I explain the code, so you have some ideas. So now the components, all these words, we make all these, words with gray background draggable. Yeah. Other parts not draggable. Okay. Yeah. These words not draggable. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because we attach JavaScript functions to these gray words. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Now let me move to the coding part. Yeah. So here, although I talk about something, yeah. So, yeah, but nothing to explain here. Okay. Yeah. Later we will do one by one. Okay. We will do one by one. So let me jump to the code. Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So let me quickly explain the supporting code, JavaScript, mainly JavaScript. Yeah. 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 Last time we already did a little bit. Yeah. Two files connected in this way. Yeah. All right. Then prepare an element to be dragged. So here, what's the element? Yeah. If you know CSS a little bit, CSS. Yeah. Here, yeah, we use some CSS rules. All right. The element is the span element. Look at the span element. Yeah. This element, usually we use the span tags around a block of text, to make it inline. Yeah, here we call it inline element. What's the inline? Yeah, inline. Yeah, because on your web page, when you put web components, inline means you follow some flow order. Yes, some order. So one component after one component. Inline, so you put a span, so that's the same line. Inline, right? Inline. Then there is another element, div element. Usually you see a lot of div element. div, yeah, you can put a div element around a block of text, yeah, or paragraph around a block of text, then not inline. Not inline. Then this element, you will start from a beginning of the next line, new line. Yeah. Inline, the same line. Yeah. So that's the span. Yeah. Then, then in this span element, style, yeah, because we want to associate some special style information. Yeah. So the CSS rules style, the attribute name is called a style attribute. Style equals double quotes. Inside the double quotes, we put a list of CSS rules. Rules, okay? Yeah. Properties, yeah. Rules and the properties, okay? Properties, yeah. All right, so here, look at the properties we have one by one. All right. The first property, position property. Property name, position. Then colon, absolute. Absolute is the value. Position, value, absolute. Yeah. Absolute, relative. So you know absolute, you know, in a coordinated system. So use that, but there is an absolute location. Yeah. X coordinate, Y coordinate, absolute. Relative with respect to your current flow, right? Then relative, up, down, left, right. Yeah, absolute, relative. Here we use this absolute location. Then, second property, top property, 200 px. Px means pixel. Okay, yeah. So this candy element, yeah, there is you see the gray candy text. Yeah, this candy text, that element, its location is 200 pixel away from the top, you know, top line, okay? Yeah, top line. Yeah. Then, to the left, 0 pixel to the left, all right? That's enough, okay? So these two coordinates is enough to, you know, determine the location of this element. Yeah. Then background color, background dash color property, light gray. Yeah. Yeah. Background. All right, so all these CSS ways, the basic structure. Yeah. So if you want to familiar yourselves about CSS knowledge, then you can use the W3 schools. Yeah. So here I just explain a little bit. Yeah. Then the main part. Look at this attribute called the on mouse down. That's the event name. On mouse down event. Yeah. So you create some event. So the event, you press your mouse button down. Yeah. On mouse down. Then you trigger the event. Yeah. When you press your, you know, left mouse button down, you trigger this event, on mouse down event. Then listening. Then this element can listen to your event triggering activity. Yeah. It can respond, it receives. Yeah. This action you trigger, it receives your action. And an event, look at this, an event object. We know JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language. Object-oriented. Yeah? So a lot of things represented in objects. Here, there is an event object. So when you press your button, there is an event object created. Then the web browser, yeah, we know we use web browser to run the JavaScript code. So the web browser will put this event object, pass the event object to this function, grabber, the JavaScript function. Function name called grabber, JavaScript function. Pass event object to it. And then in our Java, so this file, look at the drag and drop.js JavaScript file, we write the definition of grabber function. We need to write the definition of this grabber function. In the next slide, I will explain this grabber function. So the grabber function is called, and the data is passed through this event object. Okay? Event object passed to this grabber function. So next slide, we will look at the definition of this grabber function, how to process the data contained in that event object. Okay. All right. Another thing, little thing I want to explain about this event. Look at the name of this event. Look at, the name of the object. We use this full word event, yeah. But actually the name is not that important, okay? The name is not important, yeah. Many people use the EVT. Yeah. You just put a, it's like a variable, yeah. Parameter, variable. You just give it some reasonable name. If you use E, it's okay. Yeah. You just use some name. Yeah. Some people even just use E. Yeah. You put any name in that position, then the browser will treat that symbol, use that symbol to hold event object. Okay? Yeah. So the specific name is not that important. Just some name. Because inside the definition of this grabber function, we need to use this parameter. When we access the data, we need this parameter. Yeah. Just give it an arbitrary name you like. Yeah. All right. Now, let's move to the next slide. Let's look at our main function, grabber, main function. All right. JavaScript function for drag and drop. Yeah. All right. In this file, drag and drop.js file, this is the definition of this grabber function. Yeah. Inside, we need to write the, instructions to do the data processing. First, remember, object-oriented programming language, JavaScript. Yeah. Now, because we can access the object, right? Event. Use dot operator to access the data contained inside this event object. Dot current, yeah. Data, the current data, yeah. Current data, all right? The current, you access that part. Current target, yeah, all right, current target. Yeah. So event dot current target, another object, current target, okay? Because what's the current target? When you click one of the elements, you have many elements on the page. You have many elements on it. You click one particular element. That particular element is used as the current target object. It's an object, okay? That element, the current target, contains the data related to that particular element. You just click it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So the current that object is assigned to a variable called the element variable name. That's the variable name. Yeah. The element. It's another object. Okay. It contains the data wrapped inside the current element. The element, you just click it. Yeah? That logic. Then we need to retrieve the data. After we have this variable containing that object, then we can access the data contained inside this object. Then another two variables, position X, position Y. Yeah, because we want to retrieve the coordinates, right? X coordinates, Y coordinates, POSX. Yeah, that's corresponding to the X coordinate. Yeah. How do we get X coordinate? All right. The object, the element, it's an object. Okay, object corresponding to the element, you just click it. Yeah. That element is a span element, right? Remember, in the previous slide, that element is a span element. Span element. And many CSS properties associated with the span element. All right. Then, dot style. Dot operator dot style. Then, when we access this particular object, we want to access its style attribute, the value of the style attribute. Yeah. So dot style. Yeah. Now we get into the double quotes, inside the double quotes. Yeah. That's the value part of the style attribute. But inside the style value, there are many properties, right? Yeah. There are several properties. So which property we want to access? Dot left. We want to access its left property. Left property. So in this way, we retrieve the coordinate number. What's the value? The coordinate number left. Do you still remember the left property has the value 0 px? Yeah. Just number then with px, pixel, unit of the coordinate. Yeah. 0. Now we want to, what is the x coordinate? 0, right? Here we want to retrieve this 0 number. And we don't want the px. Px, that's the string part. That string part we want to cut off. Okay? Yeah. Because if you do not cut off that px, you cannot do arithmetic operations. You cannot apply arithmetic operations on strings, right? Yeah. So you get it wrong. Yeah. Yeah. So you get error. Error, then nothing works. Yeah. So we need to cut off that px, non-numerical part. Yeah. All right. So we pass the string. So this whole thing is a string value. Whole thing is a string value. We pass it to a JavaScript function called parseInt function. ParseInt, this function converts a string representation to some reasonable numerical value. Reasonable numerical value following certain rules. There are some rules. When it does the conversion, it follows certain rules. Yeah. Here, the rules here is, all right, take the numerical, yeah, because your string, so you have several digits, right? The digits, it will take all the digits, yeah, consecutive digits, because that's the numerical part. Yeah. Then, after the numerical part, as soon as it hits the non-numerical part, px, that's the non-numerical part, then it's cut off. It stops. It does not convert px. That's the rule. That's the rule. Okay? All right. So here, similarly, because this top, yeah, I use top as another example. Remember top, its value is 200 px, right? 200 px. When you pass this 200 px string here, when you apply parseInt, it just extract 200 and leave out that px. Non-numerical part, throw away. After that, you get a numerical value. Okay? All right? So then this POX, this variable contains 0, initial value 0, POSY containing 200. Then you can do arithmetic operations on these two numbers. They're numbers, yeah, you can do arithmetic operations. They're not strings. Sometimes, so here there is a potential problem. Yeah, I'll try to, let you aware of it. Yeah. Sometimes you may apply arithmetic operations on string numbers. That could happen. Yeah. All right. String, for example, yeah, here. Yeah. Double quotes 1. Is it a string? Double quotes 1. Is it a string? Double quotes. Yeah, without double quotes, that's numerical value. Okay. Double quotes 1, that's, and double quotes 2, also string, right? Yeah. Then in JavaScript, if you are not aware of these two string values, yeah, sometimes people, because you just feel I get a 1, then I get a 2, then I can do numerical operations. I add them up. What do you get? Double quotes 1 plus double quotes 2. Think about. What will you get? Is it 3? Right. Right. Concatenation. Correct. Concatenation. 1, 2. See? If you forget to do the conversion, you may get unexpected value. Okay? Yeah. So when you write your own functions, yeah, you need to be aware of this kind of problem. Okay? Yeah. All right. So that's why, because after we call this function parse int, we get integer values. Then we have no problem. We can do arithmetic operations. All right, next, let's do arithmetic operations. Because when we drag, we need to change the coordinates, right? That's the arithmetic operation. All right, then, in order to put our mouse cursor, put our element to the new location, the second step, we need to figure out where to move the current activated element. Yeah. So here we calculate the difference. Yeah. Because you have an initial position. When you move, you only need to move the difference part, right? Yeah. You have an initial position, you have a new position. The move is the difference of these two locations, right? Yeah. So in order to figure out what's your end position, then you calculate that difference. Right? So you event.client x. Yeah. Yeah. Event object dot client x. Yeah. That's the name of the property. Yeah. You retrieve. Yeah. Because think about this. This event, the event object. When you drag, this event keeps changing, right? Yeah. When you drag, your mouse cursor keeps changing its locations everywhere on the screen, right? Yeah. So event.clientX, that's the current location of your mouse cursor. You drag to a new location. That's the event.clientX. Yeah. All right. Then minus POS capital X, that's the initial location, right? You take subtraction, you get a difference. Horizontally, you need to move this much horizontally. Yeah. Then the y part, vertically, you need to move that much. Okay? That much. All right. Then, so after we find these two values, next step, we want to update the location for the element object. Element object, now we want to change its location numbers, x coordinate, y coordinate location numbers. We want to change. Okay, all right. How to change? Yeah. Now you look at how to change. All right. This is these two lines not changing. Okay, these two lines, the registration line. Yeah, registration line. Yeah, because how do you make those components have the capability listening to the events, right? Yeah, events, and provide event handling functions. Yeah, because by default, those components, they can do nothing. By default, all the components do nothing. Yeah. So you need to make those components capable of listening to the certain events. Okay? Yeah. So this is what we call a registration step. Yeah. So document. Yeah, document is the object name. The document from this name, it represents the whole HTML document. Okay? The whole HTML, yeah, all the information you put in that HTML file is wrapped in this document object. So it's a high-level object, document, okay? Very top, okay? Yeah. Although, some other objects above, yeah, here, yeah, for this page, yeah. So that's the top node, document. So we start from this document node, right? Yeah, corresponding to our HTML file. Document dot, so this document, okay, this HTML file, add event listener. Yeah. So we call this function add event listener function to register. We have 3 parameters. Let me explain the meaning of these 3 parameters. Yeah. The first parameter, double quotes, mouse move, that's the event name. Yeah. When you drag, you move the mouse, right? So you trigger the mouse move event. Okay? Yeah. So after this registration, this component can listen to that mouse move event. Okay? Can respond to that mouse move event. That's the first parameter. Yeah. Yeah. The second parameter, mover, that's the function name. Function name, we call the event handling function. Yeah. When the event is triggered, which function you want to call? Event handling function. Okay? Yeah, you associate. So that's the event handler. Yeah. So this, you need to use this handler to process the event object. Okay? So when, yeah, that meaning. Event handling function. And then true. Yeah. True, false, just some specific meaning, some setting. Yeah. So you can look at the document. True means, yeah, some specific meaning. Yeah. All right. Similarly, the second one, mouse up. Okay. So you lift your mouse button. Yeah, mouse up. Another event. Yeah. Then you call another function, dropper function. Dropper function because you need to do some cleanup work, right? Yeah. After you make a lot of change, yeah, at the end you need to do some cleanup work. Yeah. So you put in the dropper, another JavaScript function. We call it dropper function. Yeah. So that's the meaning of these 2 lines, registration lines. After that, then these 2 lines, yeah, from the name you can guess, stop propagation. Yeah. Yeah, because there is some potential the propagation problem. Yeah. So you want to stop it. Yeah. So these 2 will prevent some unexpected behavior. Yeah. Unexpected behavior. Okay. So you put it to the end. Yeah. Otherwise, could be very complicated. Yeah, interference, right? Things like interference, could be very complicated. Yeah. So here, yeah, yeah. All right. So that's this function. Then, so here, because I talk about mouse move function, the whole function, many code, not that important. The key part of the code, these two lines, the key part of the code. So here I only talk about these two lines. How do we update the coordinates in the current element? These two lines we update. We update the coordinates. Here, look at how do we change the value of the element object, the current element, okay? Dot style attribute. So we get inside the value part of the style attribute. Dot left, then we go to the left property, left, column, then we change its value. Its initial value is 0. This time we want to change a new value. So what's the new value? Current location minus that difference part. Then that's a numerical number. Then we need to add the unit part, px, unit part. Okay? Yeah? Because that's the value syntax. That's the value syntax. Yeah. So numerical part and unit part. Yeah. So for y coordinate, you do the same thing. Yeah. All right. But there is one thing that you know. Yeah. For this parse int, if you have some string, when you do the conversion, when you have some string, double quotes, A, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So this string contains some numerical part, but it starts with non-numerical value. A, it's non-numerical value. Then when you do the conversion, the whole thing is cut off. Okay? Yeah. Whole thing cut off. Yeah. Then you will get 0. Nothing. Yeah. If nothing, then it uses the 0 value. Okay? So be aware of that. Yeah. The trailing non-numerical letters, cut off, you keep the numerical part. But leading non-numerical, then the whole thing is thrown away. Yeah. That's the rules used by this function, parse int function. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then, with that code, hopefully, so when you study the code, you feel better. Yeah. After this explanation, because later you need to modify the code. Yeah. Although this part you just copy paste, use the similar way. Yeah. Yeah. But at some places, you may need to modify slightly, because you want to do more. You want to do more than our given example. So you need to understand the meaning of the code. All right, this I already explained. All right. So for this PHP thing, today I want to skip this topic. So later, sometime I will come back. Because today our main topic is part C. I want to go to part C. Otherwise, I do not have time to talk about part C. So I leave, today I only spend some time on that example, drag and drop example. The remaining part I will leave to, next time. So let's use the remaining time of this class on our main part C. Let me jump to part C. Oh, just a minute. I need to set a timer. Otherwise, I may not be able to keep track of the time. I have a little less than 30 minutes. Let me just, set timer right before this class, end of the class. Let me say, timer. 27 minutes, yeah, approximately, slightly earlier than the, 27 start, yeah. All right, yeah. All right. Next, let me get out of this part B. Oh, not here, sorry. Yeah, because this is the recording machine. Yeah, I should not touch this recording machine. Yeah. Keep there. I just switch my presentation machine. Yeah, switch to part C. Yeah. Part C. Yeah. Part C. Look at the C.1. About the jQuery, I want to skip this part and go to C.2, yeah, because that C.1 we can do next time. Yeah. This concept, basic concept of DBMS, that's our main topic today. Yeah. The programming, we already spent some time on programming. So programming, then we move to, next time. Yeah. Try to balance, yeah, programming part and, database concept part. Yeah, try to balance. Yeah. All right. C.2. Database concepts. Let me change the pen color. All right. So we start from the very beginning. Some simple concepts related to the database. All right. What is a database? Yeah. A collection of related data. Yeah. Here, usually we mean the business data. Yeah. So we're doing some business. Yeah. So we need to process some business data, collection of some related business data. Related. Yeah, so here, this word is very important. Related. So relationship among data items, very important. So we need to find the way to address the relationships among different data items. Yeah. All right. So here in this class, yeah, because the data, when we talk about data, we always mean the business data. Yeah. So we will use the, business environment to talk about our data. Yeah. All right. Then we need to explore relationships among data. Especially in our database design. Yeah. We need to design databases. Yeah. So then you need to do analysis work. Yeah. How to represent business rules, right? How to store the important business properties. Yeah. So you need to have some, high-level understanding on your business data at the beginning. Yeah, some global view on your business data at the beginning. Yeah, especially when your database becomes larger and larger, then a lot of factors you need to consider. Yeah. All right. With some business purposes. Here, let's talk about the typical database design process. Typical. All right, yeah. So in the database design stage, all right, yeah, you need to understand the business purpose. Yeah. So here, understanding, yeah, at the beginning, you need to, understand business purpose, a lot of important detail informations about the business. Yeah. And change frequently in database. Yeah, because in the design stage, at the beginning, especially at the beginning, you need to change your database design way frequently. Because later you feel, oh, do this way is better. Yeah. So you need to improve. Yeah. So you change frequently. Yeah. All right. But later, then it becomes more and more stable. So your database evolves, and becomes more and more stable. All right. Model aspects of reality. Then, if we get to the design details, how to design a database. When you get there, we need to model the business world. Represent business. So what do you mean model? Represent. Represent the business world, little world. Later we'll call it mini world. So not the whole world, only that part we are interested in. So we call it mini world. But we need to find a good way to represent it. So here, this model. So model aspects of the reality. All right. All right. Then, after that, so that's here what I'm talking about, it's a high level. Okay? Give you some initial view, initial understanding on the database design. Okay. All right. So what's the meaning of this point? Organized in a special way to support certain operations. All right. Then, when you design databases, so here I may like to give you a little more information, because if I talk about too abstract, so it's not easy to understand. So here I like to give you some more information about the database structure. At this point, I like to introduce a very important concept at this point. Tables. So here, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Database design. When we do database design, basically, we create. What are we doing? Well, when we design databases, okay? Create a set of tables. Here, the concept table inside the database. Table, table has a structure with certain rows and certain columns. That's the fundamental concept in database. So one database contains certain number of tables, and then those tables are correlated. So we need to address the relationship among those tables. So we call it relational databases. Relational. So what we're doing here, what we're learning for this class, mainly relational databases. All right, tables. So then we need to design table by table. Each table, you need to design its structure. Because only after I introduce this table concept, then you can understand this line. Otherwise, hard to understand, too abstract. Okay. All right. So now, For a table, we have rows and columns. Rows and columns. Rows and columns, all right? Yeah. Rows corresponds to your business objects. Okay. Object 1, row 1, object 2, row 2, and 3, and so on. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Same type of objects. Yeah. Yeah. Same type of object. Then, columns, we call each column we call attributes. Attribute. Okay? Yeah. Like property, attribute. Yeah. Then, what attributes do you want to use for this particular table? Then you get to this line. Organized data. Yeah. What organized? The data, business data, is organized in a special way to support certain operations, certain business operations. What kind of business operation? Yeah, because these business operations usually corresponding to the business features. Okay? Features. Yeah. So you want to do, for example, enter student information to the database. Yeah? That's one operation, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of operation. Yeah. So you want to, do some special manipulation on the business data. Yeah. So you have various operations, features. Yeah. All right. So then, when you design a particular table, you target on some particular operation or target to some particular feature. What feature you want to implement in your business? Yeah. So you need to target that. In order to support that feature efficiently, I need to select appropriate attributes. Okay. First name, last name, student number, and so on. Yeah? Yeah. First, you need to clearly define the feature, the business requirement. After you have that business requirement, then you need to represent. In order to do this feature, this requirement in the right way, I need to store certain pieces of information in my table. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So that's the meaning of this line. All right. Next. Yeah. So here's, top, give you some overview of this database. Yeah. After that, then, all right, yeah, so here, support certain operations. Oh, yeah, so here, yeah, operations and features not exactly the same. So operations work for, so here, work for the features, okay? Yeah. Work for the features, all right? Yeah. Yeah. The operations still, certain operations, yeah, basic operations, at a very low level, basic operations, yeah, certain, yeah. But we will use those operations to implement certain business features. Yeah. So that kind of relationship, work for those business features. Yeah. But they are different. Typically, so specifically, operation, the first one is retrieval. Data retrieval operation. That's the basic operation, right? Yeah. You need to retrieve data from your tables. Yeah. Retrieval. Yeah. That's first type. Yeah. Then second type, insertion operation. You add new data to your table, insertion operation. Okay. Then update. Yeah. You want to modify your existing data, update. Another type of operation. Yeah. Then the last type, deletion. Yeah. 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 So these are 4 basic operations. Yeah. Yeah. All right? Yeah. So you do the queries using these 4 operations. Then you use these 4 basic operations, 4 types of basic operations. You can implement large number of business features. Yeah. Yeah. Business features. All right? Yeah. Yeah. So you need to design some algorithms. Yeah. So here, if you, yeah, so here I assume, yeah, so we imagine, so we are the programmers. We need to develop certain web applications using some business data. Okay? Yeah. So that's our situation. All right. Then, when you are given a business requirement, yeah, well-defined business requirement, okay, then you need to use your understanding. First, you try to understand well the business requirement. Then, you need to find a representation, find an algorithm, okay? How to process your data. Before your algorithm, you need to have data structure, right? You need to have data structure, okay? The data structure, that table, the way you store your data, you can treat it as a data structure. Yeah. I want to use this particular way to store the data, okay? Yeah. Yeah. If you are a business designer, yeah, yeah, actually many programmers, they are not business designers. The business designers usually high-level people with a lot of experience. Because that part is extremely important, right? How to design databases, that part is extremely important, Yeah. So it usually, very high-level programmers, yeah, they should do that part, yeah. Okay, yeah, because the structure really important. Yeah. Then most of the programmers, you do not design the databases. You just work on the given databases. The database is given. You cannot change. Okay? Yeah. Because changing the database, that's a big decision. Yeah. Ordinary programs, you are not allowed to make any change. You can only change the data. You cannot change the structure of the databases. Yeah. Usually, that's the usual situation. Okay, all right. But when we learn learn this course, we also need to talk about database design. The basic principles, the considerations, yeah, we need to learn that. Yeah. Yeah. Probably at some time, yeah, after you work many years, then you become a database designer. That's possible. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So here, yeah, these 4 basic operations. So in this class, we only learn these 4 operations. And among these 4 operations, yeah, the first one is the most important, retrieval. So we spend 80% of the time learning the first type, data retrieval, how to retrieve the data efficiently, correctly and efficiently. Yeah. The remaining 3, too easy. Yeah. Too easy. Yeah. We do not need to spend a lot of time. Yeah. Yeah. Straightforward. Yeah. Not much to do. Yeah. But retrieval, that part, very challenging. Yeah. So we need to spend most of our time learning the first type operation, data retrieval. Yeah. All right? Yeah. Yeah. So here give you some overview. All right. SQL, the language we are going to use, this SQL, structured query language. Yeah. That's the industry standard. Okay? Yeah. Everybody must use this language to work on the relational databases. Relational databases. Okay? Yeah. Or traditional databases. Yeah. Use the SQL language. Yeah. the whole world. Yeah. Same language, yeah. SQL language. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. So, right. So here, yeah, with business, add a new. Yeah, I already explained. Yeah. So I do not. But for this deletion, let me look at. Yeah, I have a few minutes left. Yeah. Let me just explain the last item here. Yeah. Before the end of this class. Yeah. Deletion. Deletion very simple. Yeah. Deletion very simple. We delete the data, but you should be very careful. Think about when you delete business data. When you do the deletion on certain business data, think about what's the potential problem. What's the potential problem? You need to think about that. Okay? Yeah. There is a possibility you may delete certain data by accident. How about that? Right? You delete the wrong data. That could happen, right? Yeah, at the deletion time you feel, oh, that's the right one, I want to delete. But after deletion, suddenly you realize you deleted wrong data. What would happen? That's a big problem, okay? Because in the business world, some data is very expensive to be acquired. Yeah. Very expensive. When you collect the data, very expensive. But if you, by accident, you delete the, very important data, then big loss to the company. That's a big loss. Think about that. You may cause the damage, millions of dollars damage. That could happen. So that's why I want to emphasize the importance of this step. Before any deletion, in the design stage, we should do something to protect our data, right? We want to protect our data, okay? Yeah. So here, at the design stage, so you should build some mechanism to protect your data. That's the responsibility of the designer, okay? Designer, at that stage, designer should, build certain mechanism. Yeah. All right? So here I gave you the two types of deletion. The first deletion we call the logical deletion. Second deletion we call the physical deletion. Yeah. Yeah. So I think you can guess the meaning, right? Yeah, logical, physical, but I want to explain a little more. Yeah. First, physical deletion, very easy to understand. You just, because to explain this physical deletion, I need to explain how do we store our data? Where do we store our data, our business data? We store business data on the hard drive of our computers. Hard disk, hard drive, because that's the permanent storage, right? Yeah. Not in the RAM, okay? Not in the main memory. Main memory, that's the temporary storage, okay? Not permanent. So on our hard drive, that's the permanent storage. After you shut down the machine, next time when you restart your machine, the data is still there. That's the permanent storage, okay? All right. Physical deletion means you remove the data from the hard disk. Yeah. That permanent location, you remove it completely, okay? And it is not recoverable. That deletion is, you cannot undo it. It's not recoverable. Permanently deleted. Think about that. If you delete it by accident, think about, that's a big risk, right? You want to avoid it. Yeah, so definitely you want to avoid it. Or at least the designer needs to consider some mechanism to avoid that accident deletion, right? Physical deletion. Okay, yeah. So there is a solution. I do not have a lot of time left, yeah, but let's just say something. So a better way, a safer way, we do the logical deletion. Logical deletion, it's not a physical deletion, okay? You delete it logically, but the permanent location data the data stays in that physical location. You do not remove it. It stays there. Yeah. But we do not show it. Yeah. We mark it. Yeah. We mark.
So just basically hide it from the
Yes, hide it. Yes. We use some special field in the table. Yeah, field. Oh, the columns attributes also called a field. Okay? Yeah. 3 names, we refer to the same thing. Attributes, the columns, attributes, and the fields, we refer to the same concept. Yeah. You can add a special field, special column in your table to mark. Yeah. Certain row is deleted. Okay? We just mark it. Okay? Yeah. Simple way is we use 0, 1. 0 means not deleted. Okay? Normal. 1 is a flag number. 1 is you raise some flag. 1, this row is deleted. Do not show. When you see the value of some particular field is 1, you do not show it. You do not display it. That we call the logical deletion. Logical deletion, because the data stays in the permanent location, okay, hard drive, then we can undo it. We just flip the field from 1 to 0, then you show it again. That's called a logical deletion. Okay? Yeah. So in order to protect your data, you can use the logical deletion instead of physical deletion. Oh, yeah, time is up. Time is up. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I complete the explanation of this important concept. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But usually the database designer needs to worry about that. Yeah. High level people. Yeah. So but it's important you know the concept. You know the idea. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. So let me stop right here. Yeah. So next time, first I will finish this basic concept part. Second, I need to explain a little more programming examples.